guys ready and prepared as well as you'd hope you could be at this stage?
Yeah, we've had a good summer. We've only got a couple of injuries, I guess, out of our best 22. So we'll go in pretty strong, and looking forward to finally getting the season underway again. It's been a long time coming, but our boys are ready.
If you take yourself back 12 months, how are you better prepared this time than you were in your first year?
I guess we made a fair few adjustments to our game plan initially. So the 2012 season, we were still very much coaching as we were going. Even when we had that great win against Sydney up at the SCG, we sort of picked that game apart, and there was a lot of structural mistakes we still made in that match. Whereas I think this year we've just sort of tinkered with a few little different issues we had during the 2012 season, and I feel like we're better prepared from a game plan point of view. But having said that, the rest of the competition's improved as well. Our goal is to stay ahead of the curve when it comes to strategy. But it just seems and it feels like this is going to be a really even season.
So now you've still got a few days before selection. How set are you on your 22 right now?
Yeah, we're pretty much there. We'll have a proper match committee this afternoon, and then waiting for the docs on a couple of guys. But we'll have our final catch up sort of first thing Thursday morning. Obviously, it's finalised the team Thursday after our captain's run session, and then the game Friday night. So we're pretty close now, but I think probably just a few more, late decisions, and we'll have our side ready by the the curfew on Thursday afternoon.
A few of the blokes on the fringe, have you sort of had a quiet word whether they're in or out, just to give them peace of mind?
Yeah, I have. It's a difficult week for that in that regard. I mean, it's a fantastic week for adrenaline and excitement and anticipation, but it's also a week of stress and anxiety and dealing with disappointment. So that's the challenge with a squad of 47 is, a lot of our guys are just ready to go, and some are just waiting in anticipation, waiting to see if they get picked. But the strength of this group's been the ability for the guys who are knocking on the door to actually bash the door down, So last year we had a lot of boys playing some great footy that didn't get selected. This year I can't see that being much different, You're going to have to be in really good form to get a game in this team.
Of those couple you say that you need some answers on, who are they and what
do you... The obvious one is Callanan. He had that knock on his knee a few weeks back. He hasn't done much training, so we'll just wait with him. But he's probably the one, I guess, that we have to wait and make a late call on.
I know there's always stigmates around selection, what you can and can't say, but plenty of attention on Brad Crouch all summer, even last year. Is he in your best 22?
It's a difficult one because Crouch is an enormous raw talent, and we saw the same with Kerridge last year. Kerridge actually had a good season last year, but only played one match. We've got some good young talent coming through. Crouch is one of those boys, and he's right in the mix for this week.
Is there a second one? You said a couple.
I might leave the other one up my sleeve if I can.
Because it's something that happened today?
No, we actually got through today okay, yeah, it was fine. But there's always little niggles and stuff. There are a few guys that played in the SANFL matches last weekend who were on the verge of selection, a couple of corkies and those sort of things. Nothing major, but I think you've got to take a fit squad into any match, but in particular round one. I mean, these games are red hot. I mean, We've played 4 practice matches, but the game goes to another level in round one, and we've got to ensure we're picking a fit 22 for the first week.
Is there an extraordinary element about Essendon, about the way they'll approach the game and the way they're even now?
Yeah.
As if they're walking into some sort of war zone?
Yeah, there is a fair bit of romance in this game, I guess, externally, because both clubs have had their issues their issues in the off season, but. We'll just focus on what we can control, and I'm sure Essendon are going to come over and give us one hell of a game. So we're expecting Essendon at full strength, and it's going to be a red hot match.
What's your attitude to the players and the way in which they approach the Essendon players, particularly if they want to get into their head and put some questions about the way they behaved last year or the way the club behaved?
Yeah, listen, we haven't spoken about that as a group, but I'd be disappointed if our players tried to unsettle Essendon with any, sort of cheap shots. I mean, that's not what footy's about. I mean, the sides I think that I'd like to coach would be ones that just play the ball hard and not take any cheap shots. So I don't think I even need to really bring it up, but I'm sure our boys will play the game in the respect that it deserves.
With blokes like Crouch, is it, maybe easy is not the word, but I'm going to use that anyway because I can't think of another one. Is it a bit easier to debut in round one as opposed to maybe putting up with a bit more speculation of when you're going to play?
I think Crouchy's been waiting for a long time. You know, he was here for the 12 months last season, and there was times I would have loved to have played him last year. So I felt at times last year, with his form in the local competition, he was in our best 22. We couldn't play him. There's going to be times this year where he just, like we said before, he bashes the door down, demanding that we play him. So whether that's this week or next week or in round 10, I'm sure it's going to come. I mean, he's going to be a long-term player for us, and I'm really looking forward to seeing him be part of our squad long-term.
But I guess if he is picked this week, if he's earned his spot, then that sort of removes that ongoing speculation of when are we going to see this kid.
Yeah, I mean, he's like anyone else though. He's got to be in good form to stay in the side. Whether he's, you can't just give your number one draft pick a game every week. He's still developing, but he's no different to anyone else. If he's in good form, he'll play.
He's playing his Friday night and then having a break next week. Is that an annoyance or is it an advantage to just get on with it?
This year the fixture's been a bit disjointed for us, so it's been a little bit difficult to get into a routine. So, you know, we've played a week, had a week off, played another 2 weeks, had a week off. We'll play this week. We'll have 15 days before our next game. So, but you learn to manage that and just sort of roll with the punches a little bit. We can only prepare our boys as best that we can, and we feel like we've done that this summer.
Defensively, Michael Dowdy obviously drops out from that side last year.
Yep.
How many is that position down to in a race of 2, maybe 1?
Yeah, I still think there's some really healthy competition for that Dogger role, that Dowdy role. Richard Tambling trained the house down today. He's playing some really good footy. It's just injuries came this pre-season at the wrong time for him. So he won't play this week, but he's one that I think will play a lot of footy for us this year. But I really liked Brown's game last week against Carlton. You know, he played really well on Betts and Gartlett at times. So he's a good young talent coming through, and he's another one with Crouch that we expect to play a fair bit of footy for us this year.
Just on Tambling, have you spoken to him? I presume you do regularly, most of your players, but in terms of the context of his career, last year out of contract here at Adelaide, all the hype he left behind in Melbourne, where's he at?
He's had a really good summer. He can't do much more to impress the coaching staff. The work he's done this summer has been outstanding, and he's going to get his opportunity this year. And like you said, he needs to have a big season, you know, a contract season, and I'm sure he's going to play well. He's moving well, he's kicking the ball well. He's having some issues with some back injuries, but if he can get on top of them, he's going to have a good season.
Brenton, on the disposal, actually just on Richard's disposal backward centre at times,
Yep.
you could probably say that has hurt him.
Yeah.
How much in the way of gains has he made there?
Yeah, big gains. I think he sometimes in his endeavours to really impress us, he sometimes pulls the trigger on kicks that no one can kick, you know. So I think that's where the inefficiency with his kicking disposals let him down at times. But we're trying to just give him a bit more freedom just to take the easy option, you know, as we do with our players who aren't as effective with their disposal by foot, you know, just take the easy option. And that's been his instruction most of the summer, and he's executed that pretty well.
Brenton, a few of the captains picked Taylor Walker doing the goal kicking this year. What sort of expectations is he carrying at the club this year, especially with no kids alongside him? Yeah, they seem pretty high, don't they? I mean, he's only 22, remember that, and he's going to be a really great player for this footy club. But he's not going to be the match winner every week for us. We need other players standing up around him, and we need to release a bit of pressure forward for him. So, yeah, we need McKernan, Jenkins, Porplesia, Henderson, Vince, Petrenko. We need those guys doing their bit in our forward line as well. So we have got some depth in that position. In those roles. But yeah, it does feel like all of a sudden Tex is the man, and but I'm sure he can handle it. How's he coping with those expectations?
I think he enjoys it, to be honest. He's one that doesn't shy away from the limelight. He doesn't do himself any favours with the haircut, I guess. You know, people love taking his picture, and we love seeing him, you know, at training and in games with the haircut. But I think, you know, some of the world's best athletes do love the big stage, and I think he's one of those.
Do you feel he's a better, more rounded player than last year?
I think he's continually improving. He's bigger and stronger this year. I think his leadership's, which might sound unusual to people, who've been in Adelaide for the last few years, but I think his leadership's gone to another level as well. So he's grabbed that forward line under his wing a little bit, and he understands the game. So he understands strategy and structure, which some players don't. They just play. But Tex is one that understands the game. So he's got an enormous future.
It's not just Walker though, is it? It's like Dangerfield, Sloan,
Yep.
Jacobs all getting mentioned in the pundits' top 50 list.
Yeah.
That seems to come out this time of year.
Yep.
Can that level of expectation the players can deal with that?
Yeah, they do, and I expect a lot from them as well. I mean, we at the footy club do expect those guys to play well. It's nice to get written about, but you do have to back it up, and I'll ride those boys pretty hard too, not just through the summer, but early in the season. We need our good players playing well. So we've seen it through a generation at Geelong, and we've seen it through a generation at West Coast, and even sort of Sydney. Where their good players play well every week. So that's no different for us. We need our good players playing well.
When you look at the captain's survey from last year, very few are sure about Adelaide now. They're pretty well certain for the top 8 side. Have you won that race or battle to get respect back to your team?
Yeah, I think we're on the way to doing that. Yeah, I think 17 wins and a prelim final probably does help, but it just seems like people are waiting for a fall this year. There's a lot of predictions of a fall, but we'll just, as I've mentioned plenty of times, we'll just live in the moment. We won't look too far ahead. We won't talk about September until it's September. We'll just talk about playing Essendon this week. Next week we'll talk about playing Brisbane, and we'll just try and live contest by contest as much as we can. That's been our strength.
In that context, a prediction of a fall?
My prediction?
No, what context do you bring that up in? Do you think there's actually now a tone of negativity towards Adelaide rather than...
Oh no, I sort of sense that that people are expecting a big improvement from some of those sides outside of the 8. So, Carlton, Essendon, Richmond are the obvious ones that people are expecting to come into the 8. So I think when anyone selects their top 8 for 2013, if they're saying, well, 3 teams are going to come in, which 3 drop out? So they're probably looking for another solid start to the year for us before they're convinced that we've sort of turned the corner. But we certainly respect that, and we'll do our very best to start the season well, and I think we're in a position to do so.
Brett, what's your thoughts on the secondary stoppages of ball-ups now rather than the bounce-downs? Does that change the game much?
I think it helps. I mean, I know the Rules Committee and the Commission would prefer less stoppages in games, and I think throwing the ball up rather than bouncing it is going to speed up those situations a little bit as well. So it'll help us because we do play a quick game. We put speed on the game. We play normally a quick brand of footy, so less stoppages is actually beneficial for us too, even though we are a good stoppage side.
Have you noticed a change in the pre-season?
Not really yet. I know the game got slowed down with the interchange cap. At times we tried to put speed on the game but couldn't. But yeah, back to unlimited rotations this week. I think we'll see some really entertaining footy. Essendon and Crows both put speed on the game, so it's going to be a ripping game on Friday night.
With the game being faster because of that rule, does it change the way Jacobs plays at all? Would you have to use a second ruckman more? Does he have to get the contest quicker? Or? Yeah,
perhaps. I mean, we traditionally play with a ruckman and a key forward who rucks, but at different times this year we'll play 2 designated ruckmen with 2 big forwards as well. So I think we can do that. I think we can show the opposition different looks in our forward line and still be a good side.
And that would take a bit more head off.
Yeah, I don't think Jacobs can or what he did last year, which was play almost 80% of the ruck and an enormous amount of minutes. I don't think he can sustain that for say 5-6 seasons back to back. So we've got to be a little bit smarter with how we use Sam and make sure that we're getting the best out of him when it matters, which is was obviously in the second half of the year. So we'll try and manage his workload a bit better this year.
Brendan, when you talk about staying ahead of the curve, what does that mean for the way the Crows' way will be defined in 13?
We have to make adjustments with the game as well. So we'll be hunted a bit more this year. Not expecting to go under the guard of a lot of clubs early in the season. I mean, we were by sort of midway through the season, we only had a couple of losses. Where I think sides will be more aware of us this year. They'll be more, schooled up on how we play. So we've just got to make sure that we keep improving with the game, that we don't keep playing how we did in 2012. We've got to keep making adjustments to what works.
So where's the key areas to make those adjustments then?
Well, there's lots. I prefer not to tell the cameras. I don't want to give our opposition, a couple of head starts, but I think it's pretty obvious. We try and put speed on the game. Sometimes sides sit numbers back and wait for us to kick the ball to them. We'll be a bit smarter with how we use the ball at times.
You've copped up some decent scores in the pre-season, probably unlike you a little bit. Is that a concern, or is that just a pre-season situation?
Pre-season situation, very minor concern. I think this week when we can get our rotations back up around the 150, 160, look for opportunities to put speed on the game and to defend with a bit better method, I think we'll be okay. But it's going to be a really interesting start to the season. You know, we're first up against the Bombers on a Friday night, which is great to launch the season, and then we go up north and play a red hot Brisbane side. So it's a pretty difficult start to the season for us, and one we're looking forward to.
Is there a need to make a statement on Friday night being the season opener and set a standard for the year?
It's one way of putting it, but I think every contest we have, you like to make a statement. So I think the start of this game is going to be electric. It's going to be red hot from the first bounce. You know, there'll be a lot of mistakes. The ball will be on the ground a lot. It'll be messy. You know, we're expecting this great game, but with pressure and intensity comes mistakes, and the side that settles down into the groove of the game quickest will probably get away to the healthiest start and probably have the advantage early.
Is there a sense of relief that horrid pre-season off the field is now over and you can just start playing footy?
Yes and no, because it hasn't really affected the footy department, to be honest. And you know, we've got along with our business as normal, and we've prepared our boys as best we can for the start of the season. And yeah, we've had some off-field issues which we've addressed and it's been made very public. But from a football department point of view and from our team's point of view, our boys are ready to go.
Brenton, on the issue of list management, David Noble's been extremely busy on precedent sort of
Yep.
stuff Adelaide's doing. You've got that issue with the draft picks lost at the end of the year. How much are you going to really push the free agency market?
Yeah, we've talked about it a little bit, but you're right. David Noble, who is our list manager, is doing a fantastic job at preparing a lot of different scenarios for us at the end of the season. So whether we adopt free agency, whether we look at trades, whether we look at promoting rookies, we're going to have some different options available to us to try and get back into that, I guess, first round. So no first round, no second round this year. I'd still like to get back into the first round if at all possible. So how we do that will be up to David and Hamish at the end of the season.
Did you look at that free agency list when it came out last week and say there's a player there who could really top you up and give you...
Yeah, there's a few nice ones there.
Can I just take it back to what you said about the cheap shots? You'd be disappointed if the players did it. What about the fans? Is there any message for them? Or?
Oh yeah, listen, there'll be a big crowd here. We'll probably sell out the stadium this Friday night. With emotion and adrenaline and excitement becomes, you know, sometimes you just have to bite your tongue, you know, and let's make sure, I guess, from the crowd's point of view that we respect their opposition. Our players will play hard, but yeah, it's important that we showcase this game for what it is, you know, a fantastic launch to the start of the 2013 season.
So you'd be disappointed if they sort of sledged Essendon?
Yeah, well, I mean, we can't control all of our supporters, but yeah, I'd be disappointed if not only our fans, but I guess the rest of the AFL supporters. You know, there's an investigation going on. Let it take its course, and we'll just get on with the footy.
Brenton, how serious are you about doing the big flood against Carlton in the last quarter as a protest?
I thought about it. Very serious.
Because you seriously think that's the way the game will go if we bring in the cap? Force back to that sort of footy? Potentially. I think it just slows the game down, yeah, which is fine. If they want the game to be slowed down, that's fine. We'll just have to probably put numbers behind the ball to handle that. What made you think again then?
I think that was being a little bit arrogant if I did that. I'd probably not. I need a few more years coaching experience before I pull that move off.
You might get the chance again.
Yeah, good call. I'm out of contract end of next year, so I better hurry up. That's a good point, yeah, it's a good point. I don't think, I mean, we've got our coaches' conference tomorrow. I think we'll be updated on where the AFL are heading with that, but I don't think, well, I'm hoping that 80 is not the number. I think it might be a bit higher, but we'll be updated on that tomorrow, I guess.
So you start trying to prepare for that this season, or you trying to build this last season with unlimited?
We'll try and prepare a little bit towards the second half of the season with how we train our boys. The game's so brutal at the moment that most of our week in season is recovery. We don't get a chance to get much conditioning into them, but Nick Paulos, who's our strength and conditioning coach, is already looking at the 2014 season with a restricted interchange. So he's starting to look ahead about designing our program for the 2014 pre-season, which is great.